Hey, Liam Austin here, co-founder at Entrepreneurs HQ, here for the Cold Email Success Summit with Rod Sloan, who is the UK country manager for Predictable University. He's been doing cold emails every day, still does them all every day. He's known as a cold email expert, ton of expertise in this area. As well as myself, you probably have maybe found me through LinkedIn or through our LinkedIn group. Rod also runs a LinkedIn group, so I don't know whether we'll touch on that a little bit, but he should hopefully understand, and I think obviously he does with the expertise, a little bit about our audience and the businesses that you run. So first of all, welcome, Rod.
Thank you, Liam. Glad to be here.
Cool. So do you want to just, I know I've given a little bit of an intro there, but do you want to just maybe expand on that or add anything that I missed?
Okay, yeah. So I spent all my life in B2B, mainly in the corporate world, selling technology. So I know what it's like trying to break into clients for the first time. And by breaking, I mean enter legally, not going through the back window, or going back, can go through the back window if that works. So I know what that's like, and to build it, and the frustrations of that. So I've been a salesperson, I've been a sales director, a sales consultant, and now I guess you would call me something of a sales coach. So my job really is to shout at people and say, you're doing it wrong, don't do it that way, don't do it this way. So what we've got today is very simple, but let's not confuse simple with easy. It requires work, and it's not just whacking out a few emails and everything's hunky-dory. There's work needs to go in before the email and work needs to go in after the email. So the email is only the email is the very easy bit.
All right, so strap yourselves in, people. There's a ton of value coming from someone that's got a lot of expertise, but it's going to be simple for you, but just obviously a lot of work, which I think is understandable if you want to get results. But where do you want to start with this process?
So I think the first process is to focus on your niche, right? Or niche, or whatever you want to call it, your segment, your target market. I don't mind what you call it. I think that is the key thing, to understand why you're going after that marketplace. All right. So I'll give you an example. Many years ago, I decided to pick law firms as a niche. I never worked in a law firm, never wanted to work in a law firm, didn't even watch lawyer things on TV. But there were things going on, particularly in the UK at that time, and that meant that marketplace was changing and was ripe for people coming in to talk to them about business development in a way they hadn't done before. So there's got to be a reason that you go for your niche. And the most logical reason to go after your niche is you have some knowledge in that niche already, i.e. you've worked there, you have some track record, you have some knowledge, you have some credibility. So when they start using the jargon, the terminology, you don't go, what's that? What's that? I give you a classic example. Many years ago, we were selling to Westland Helicopters. Westland Helicopters based down in Yeovil in Somerset, and they build these big helicopters. And I went down there with my senior manager in my company. And the client at Westland Helicopters turned to us and said, of course, it's important that we do this so it works well with the EH101. And he said EH101 twice. And my MD, my boss, said, oh, what's the EH101? And the client looked at him like, he thought, you idiot. And he pointed at this picture of this big helicopter and said, that's the EH101. It's our most important product, right? So my boss didn't know that. Of course, that was my fault, not his fault, not briefing him. So it's important that people talk about things like the EH101, that you know what it is. So what is your client's EH101?
All right, doing that research, understanding exactly what they care about the most, it sounds like, which is their number one product.
Of course, yeah. Okay. So now you won't be able to understand that for maybe every company, but you need to understand it in terms of jargon. So I'll give you an example. My niche very much is SaaS companies, software as a service companies. It's the way most software is sold these days. So it's sold on a monthly basis, on a per user basis, and usage can go up and down. So it's very different from traditional enterprise software sales that my background is in. But there's certain things that are key in SaaS. We'll talk about logo churn. They'll talk about ARR. They'll talk about MRR. And if I say, what is MRR? I will look incredibly stupid. And they think, well, you don't know what you're talking about, right? So that's a key thing. You need to understand their jargon, their concerns, the trends. Let's talk about in their industry, all these things. And they'll make you much more confident if you can do that. And they'll make you sound not like some, Johnny-come-lately salesperson.
Absolutely. I mean, I was talking with a business owner the other day who hired someone for his photography business to do their customer support, but they weren't a photographer and they just weren't able to talk to his customers in a way that was knowledgeable about, as you said, like the jargon and processes and things that would come naturally to someone who does photography. So they had to let that person go, unfortunately, because of that reason. So absolutely important.
So that's the niche. Let's now move on to this thing called the ideal client profile. So the ideal client profile is a subset of your niche. So my niche is SaaS companies. My ideal client profile is a SaaS company based in the UK that has between 5 and 30 employees that's probably been in existence for between 2 to 5 years. So I'm not targeting big monster companies like Oracle or SAP. I'm not targeting startups. So that's what I'm not targeting. I'm targeting something that's in existence already. Why do I pick that size? It means that I can get access quite easily to the CEO, the sales director, the decision maker. If I'm trying to target, Salesforce or Oracle, who makes the decisions in Salesforce or Oracle? It'll take me a year to understand that concept alone. So that's the reason. So your ICP, your ideal client profile, is a subset of your niche. Now, there may be something going on. You may say, okay, I want to target somebody who's maybe just lost their biggest customer. I want to target somebody where they've brought in a new director. So then your niche should be something you can explain and explain why. So that's your ideal client profile, a subset of your niche.
Okay, great. So you've got the niche, you've got your ideal client profile. You've got that. Is that the foundation we're talking about?
That's the foundation. Now, all this stuff you can do in isolation. You can do on your laptop. You can do anywhere, and you can do some research on LinkedIn. But the key thing, really, that is I would call that the amateur approach. Doing your research on LinkedIn, or there's a website in the UK, job sites. You can go and look at people's job descriptions and say, okay, they're the major concerns. But then you need to do something that's going to horrify a number of your listeners. You need to pick up a very old-fashioned device. I'm not sure they have them in your neck of the woods. We have them over here in the UK. This is a very, very old version, and you need to actually pick up the phone and call people, Liam. I know that's a horrible concept to most people, and speak to people. So what I suggest you do is I'm doing this recently with a new thing I'm doing. So I email people who are my LinkedIn #1 contacts. So they're my friends. Now, I'll say something, and there are two types of people that work on LinkedIn. There are people who believe they should have a pure network. You only contact with people that you know. I'm not like that, so I'm going to use something slightly politically incorrect here. I call myself a LinkedIn tart. I will connect with anybody. Even you, Liam. I'll even connect with you. There you go. That shows you how low my standards are. But no, joking aside, I'll connect with anybody, because to me, LinkedIn is not about who you know, but how many people know you as well. So I want your network to be able to access me. So I contact people on LinkedIn who are in my target market. Let's say they're SaaS people. These are not customers. It's not people I might even know very well. But I will probably avoid people I know very well, because the conversation might be between matey to chummy in that sense, and say, can I have 15, 20 minutes on the phone with you? We're starting this new thing. I'd like to do some research. And if they are your level 1 contacts on LinkedIn, and if you approach 20 people, 4 or 5 should give you the time of day. Should give you that. So then you sit down and you go through these people and you say, how big an issue is this for you? You do some research. What are you trying to do? How important is And how important is it? I was doing this today with a customer, a prospect. And this guy actually happened to be in Cyprus at the time. He was on holiday. So we were joking about that. I was saying, you know, you lucky so-and-so being in Cyprus, what's the weather? So you can build a bit of a rapport. You're playing with them. It's not some, you know, it's not some suit and tie, gut-wrenching thing you're doing. You should be playing with these people. It should be, you know, like a game of tennis almost. But I said to him, how big a problem is this? And he said, it's a huge problem, Rod. You know, how much will you pay to fix this? Well, he said, the problem alone is worth in excess of £100,000 per annum. So I thought, So most of you people are listening to this call probably have solutions that are somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 sterling, euros, let's call it the same currency. You know, you want something you want a problem that's 10 times the size of your fee. Because then you've both got something to talk about. If he said to me, Rod, it's a $500 problem per year, we can't go very further there. Right? If he said it's a $50 million problem, I might be thinking, okay, I need to think about what I'm doing here, and it's a $50 million problem. But he said, no, it's a $100,000 problem, and I think, okay, I've got a solution for him that's going to be between $2,500 and $10,000. We can talk here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's smart, and that's part of the foundation. We'll make sure you're pricing your product and targeting the people that are going to be, you know, maybe 10 times. I think that was kind of the number you gave. Like, if the product is, you know, 5,000 or 20 times $5,000, yet the problem is 100,000. You know, it's a 20 times, you know, savings, if you like. So they'll be willing to pay that as well.
Well, you have to understand, you know, if they're going to put in your solution, there's going to be the cost. Your cost, there's going to be the opportunity cost, there's going to be the disruption cost. So it only might be 10,000, but it might cost them 20,000 and other things. So, and there's got to be a good return on investment. But going back to this call that I was making, or these research calls, remember, these are research calls. These are not selling. And the hardest thing to do sometimes, when you think somebody who's got a sniff of what you want, is to go into sales mode and say, hey, Liam, have I got a solution for you? Liam, this is your lucky day. Aren't you a lucky? You know, it's very easy to fall into that sort of trap. Don't do that. Stay as a researcher. Think more like you're a detective or you're a journalist rather than a business owner or a salesperson.
All right. I like that. All right. So we've got that. We're doing this cold email research. What's kind of the next step?
So what the purpose of that research really, and you maybe want to speak to 5 or 6 different people, is to justify the assumptions they've got. So if they all came back to me and said, no, Rob, that's a problem, but it's got a very low priority, and we might spend $5 on it, then really you don't have something to offer. So the research justifies your assumptions from all your online research. Once you've got that, you can think, okay, now we have our market, we have our niche, I mean, it's SaaS companies. We have my ideal client profile. We know the size that I'm comfortable with, that they're comfortable with me, where your message will resonate as well. Now it's time to start cold emailing. Okay, so a couple of things. I'm sure you've all heard of these books. I would, if you don't do anything else, invest in these books. None of these books are mine. So the first book you should get a copy of is Predictable Revenue by Aaron Ross and Mary Lou Tyler. Right. Now, this is a very bad copy because this copy should be thumbed with post-it pads and things sticking out, but it's pristine, it's virginal in that sense. So, go and get a copy of that. That's about $10. If you think that's too basic, then they've both written more advanced books. Aaron's written Impossible to Inevitable, and Mary Lou has written Predictable Prospecting. Okay, but please start off with this, Predictable Revenue. And if you're not sure about it, go to YouTube. I'm sure you've all heard of YouTube. Type in Predictable Revenue, and there's somebody there that's done like a 4-minute synopsis of the book. You know, and it's written in handwriting. Brilliant synopsis. Have a look at that. If that appeals, take it. When I read this book had a physical effect on me, Liam. Right, I know it's a probably like the effect you have on women, Liam. This book had that effect on me. It's almost like somebody hit me in the solar plexus. So I thought, crikey, that's what you do. And this talks about what Aaron did when he was at Salesforce and how he grew the revenue there by 100 million. And it's worth reading for that story alone. But the real reason to read it is to think about implementing some of the ideas and tactics in your business.
Great. So the whole idea behind what you're saying here with the predictable revenue and the ideas there, what's the reason why, you know, that kind of topic and the whole idea of, you know, the predictable revenue stream, is something that people should be paying attention to?
Okay, because prospecting is the most important thing I think you do in your business. It's so key. But it's also the thing most people hate to do. Right? Skilled salespeople hate prospecting. And here's the reason. You're a client of mine. I come and see you and you say, hey, Rod, everything's great. I've got a purchase order for you here. Everything's going great. What is your software? And I have a conversation with you and I feel good. And then I've got to pick this thing up and call people who've never heard of me. And they'll say, no, go away, or go away and die, or other words to that feeling. So here's the thing. You're going from something where you've got a rapport and you feel good to something where you're Johnny Nobody, right? You're unwanted, you're undesirable. And most people naturally shy away from that pain. That's why they stick to email. I'd rather send out 100 emails, 500 emails, 1,000 emails. I'd rather burn through all the lists and data we can get. Don't do that. Keep it simple. So here's my view. I think you should prospect on a regular basis. Now, you said I prospect every day. I don't prospect every day. I don't prospect on Saturdays, right? I do prospect on Sundays. Sunday is my number one day of the week to contact people cold, right? So it's a little tip there. Not early in the day. You don't prospect at 8 a.m. in the morning, but I do prospect after 6 p.m. because my target market, most people who run a medium-sized business on a Sunday evening start to plan for the week ahead. Their laptop's open. You might be they're at home, but they've already switched off. You might be watching and you're drinking your pina colada and eating your, steak, but they are thinking about the week ahead and they're open to things being approachable then. So I do that, and I also prospect on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I don't prospect on Mondays or Fridays because they are days when people got other things on their head. But I send out a simple cold email. Okay, so asking for a referral. If you Google referral email, you'll find a dozen or so templates of how to do that. I'm not going to share my template with you. I would have to charge you a lot of money to do that. You haven't got enough money, Liam, to pay me to share my template with you. But you don't need to. There's plenty of those out there. But keep it simple. Now, here's the thing. Most people are going to read your emails on this thing. I've got an old iPhone here, an iPhone 5. If you've got an iPhone 8, or an iPhone 10 that's just come out, it's still a pretty small screen. Your email needs to fit on that screen. If it goes over more than one page, it's too long. So keep it simple. Ask for one thing. So the referral email simply asks for, can you put me in contact with the person who's responsible for HR? Can you put me in the person who's responsible for IT security or digital marketing? It's that simple. If you're sending this email quite high in the company, the CEO doesn't know the difference between digital marketing and SEO to a great level, maybe. He may or may not care. But see, what you don't want people to get this email and start scratching everything. What does he mean, or he or she mean? You want them to say, it's me, or speak to Sally, or speak to Joe, or speak to, whoever in that sense. Now, here's the challenge. If you do this, and I encourage you to do it, a strange thing happens. This thing, because I put my mobile number, my cell number on my email, starts to ring. And people will say, hey, Rod, this is Hank, or this is Joe. You emailed my boss. What's that all about? So you get responses back often before you're ready. So you need to be prepared. You need to be able to answer that quite grammatically. Some guy said to me, you've been looking at our website. And I said, no, I haven't. Yes, you have. I once got into an argument with a guy because I was unprepared. So you need to be prepared when people call you. Maybe 1 out of 100 will call you. So you need to do that, and you need to pick up the phone, and anybody who responds, unless it's go away and die, all right, you need to contact. So when I send out those cold emails, your target should be a 13% response. Right. So let's say I send out 100 emails. I wouldn't send out that many. Let's keep it simple. Let's say 50 of those bounce, right? As it might well do. You explode those 50, but 50 lands. So you've actually only sent out 50 emails. Right. So if you want a 12.5% response from that, you're hopefully going to get 6 responses from that 50. Okay. And of those 6 responses, some will be positive, some will be negative, some will be neutral. Unless they say never email me again, as some people might do that, then all you need to do, if they say no, that's not for us, Rob, pick up the phone. Hey, Liam, I got your email. Thanks for that. Why? That's my interest. Why did you say that? Nice and friendly. No, I'm not some slick salespeople. Don't go into your, hey, this is Rod Sloan from Predictable University. Well, the UK, we're the world's #1 sales training company, and I'm phoning you. None of that. Don't be like that. Don't be silly. In fact, sometimes when I call people, I will deliberately make myself to be less skilled than I am. So I'll go, I'll stumble deliberately. I'll go, I was calling you, what was it called? Oh yeah, I know, I was calling you because you responded to my email. Did you respond to my email? So, it's okay to be a bit more bumbling in that sense. So that's the email. The email, it gives you a reason to call these people. Now, the question you're going to ask me, William, surely I know is, that's great, Rod. So you send 50 emails, get a response, 6 respond. What do you do with the 44 who didn't respond? So I'll tell you what you should do, Liam. You should email them again. And I'll tell you what you should do. I would send them the same email again. Because I don't know about you. If I said to you, Liam, tell me about an email you got a week ago that you didn't reply to, a cold email, you'd go, I don't know. Can't think of it, Rod. It's gone. It's forgotten. Certain people are very attentive on emails. Some people will say to you, you've emailed me 3 weeks ago. Some people are like that, but they're the unusual ones. And they're probably not going to do business with you anyway. But most people don't. So email them again or do a different variation.
So when you're saying email them again and emailing the same email, like what kind of period of time should you wait before you actually do send that same email?
Okay, well, there's 2 skips because there is no answer to that question. It's like all marketing questions have the same answer, test, right? Test. So I might say, send it again in a week. A colleague of mine might say, send it again in 2 days' time. Right? I would err on being more aggressive than less aggressive. I'm more, in that sense. By aggressive, I don't mean arrogant and aggressive. I mean more regular.